This week, I tried something completely new around ChatGPT, and it wasn't actually a part of my original plan in using ChatGPT to create the board of directors. I went in to actually go start kind of laying out the personalities and personas of each board member. But I realized in discussing and conversing with ChatGPT about what I need to establish, I needed to establish first my own personality and persona. So in video 2 that we just did a couple of days ago, I spent a couple of hours after training and telling ChatGPT about everything that we do in my business. We established a board of directors. This week, I sat down with ChatGPT, and before I created and established the personality and persona, the experience of my board members, we went in to do it for me first. So I will explain to you right now kind of the discussion we had, the outcome of that, and the overall benefit of that. So here are a couple things that we had the conversation focused around when talking with ChatGPT. The first thing they asked me were things around my decision-making style. And a lot of these things that it uncovered or determined about me at the end of this exercise weren't news to me, but the prioritization of understanding what these things are and then how to establish the remaining personality traits around me were the thing I think was really important. So the decision-making style, for me, I'm quick, I'm decisive, I rely heavily on gut instinct, I have confidence in my decision-making, and I'm able and willing to adjust when needed. So because I make decisions quickly, I also am not incredibly married to those decisions. And if I see that an adjustment or a pivot needs to be made, I'm willing and able to do that. The next process it focused on was risk tolerance. So for me, I have a lot of risk tolerance in some areas, but in other areas I don't. For instance, financially, I'm very conservative and I'm frugal compared to my business partner, Matt. Now, him and my dynamic work really well together in the fact that he's a little bit more free-flowing, a little bit more risky when it comes to investment and it comes to financial decisions, but I am quite a bit more frugal and a little bit more conservative. So I'm more comfortable in exploring new ventures and uncharted territories than he is. And I'm adaptable around that way. But understanding where the risk factors are inside of us, myself and him, was something that was really interesting for me to dive in deeper. Now, the third category that we talked about was leadership style. So leadership style for me, I'm very directive. I'm very intense. I take a very clear, confident decision-making style. I need people who are with me, who are able to take that type of leadership style because I am a very intense leader. I'm very confident. I'm very direct. Now, I probably am void of some of the emotional intelligence side that would likely be valuable in some of the other areas of our business. So the fourth category is communication style. And because I'm naturally direct, because I'm very straightforward with the tendency of being blunt and unemotional in communication, those are things that are really important for us to capture in the overall style of me as a founder and as a leader of my organization. Some emotional maturity development over time is something that I would like to be able to work on, and I think that I have been able to grow with drastically as I've identified a kind of, I would say, weakness around my communication style in that process. So when building a board, some of the things that I need to factor in is having people that maybe close that gap around emotional intelligence, a little bit more soft skill approach that I might lack. Now, luckily, as a co-founder of us in Spinwheel Assist, Matt has that at a much greater detail than I. So why we work so well as co-founders in our businesses is because I have a certain approach and a certain way I handle things, and Matt approaches things in a slightly different way. So we understand both how we have the other leaders around us in our business and how him and I push and pull with each other based off that communication style. Number 5, adaptability. Adaptability and agile for me, and I think as a founder, is something that is vital. I find so many people are so slow to react both in action and then in reaction, that they find themselves stuck in a paralysis through analysis in regards to decision making. For me, and what we've concluded in talking with ChatGPT is that adaptability and agile. I'm open to change when necessary. I do value structure, but I'm not rigid and I can pivot quickly. Those things I have always felt about myself, and I was glad that the self-awareness in myself kind of aligned with the line of questioning the ChatGPT. And then 6, problem-solving approach. We determined that balanced approach, I combine systematic and analytical thinking in regards to decision making. So for me, what you have ChatGPT prompt you in these questions is the most important part of coming to the conclusion of what you need to do and how you can determine your overall personality. But once again, to recap, the 6 areas that we focused on in prompting ChatGPT to understand more about me and my personality: decision-making, risk tolerance, leadership style, communication style, adaptability, and problem-solving approach. These things overall were the things that came with the overall outreach, and then I was able to use ChatGPT to then suggest the personality traits, experiences, and things to help me bridge my gaps and to bring in a well-rounded board around me. Hope this helps.